All right, probably get this started here. Well, let me first make sure that I actually can be heard, but after that we can get rolling right into it. Nope. All right, maybe you can hear me. Oh, black with white. Oh, that means you're a little behind. All right, you can hear me. Sweet. Well, we are making a head tracker for one of our orders, and I said I was going to make these on camera because they're super interesting to watch. But I'll go through the whole process minus the board programming because, again, that has to be done via Windows, and I'm streaming on a Mac, and so I've got to do it kind of behind the scenes. But the tutorial is still up and going. But the first step here is let's see. Hello. The first step. I just took this print right off of the 3D printer. So as you can see, it's a little. There's still a little cleanup that has to be done. Same with this head tracker itself. You can see there's still all this middle part. So just making sure these pieces are good to go. Hello, Mr. James Turncliffe and Spaceman FPV. We're there so far. I'm just going to start off by cleaning all of this, or all these pieces up, so that we can actually start adding the electronics. Let's see. Stream bit rate is lower. Well, I don't know what that really means. Let's see. Let me know if the stream looks weird or something. I'm getting a warning just that things aren't looking good or that they're a little bit something or another, but let's see. I'll keep powering through. So first thing I'm going to do is just peel off any of the filament that's just support, because that obviously doesn't need to be there. And get that off. Let's see. Looks fine. The stream looks fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was just some warning. But I don't know what it was really meaning, but I'm just looking to make sure it all looks good. And then you can see these holes in the middle here aren't all the way through. So all I have to do is take a screwdriver and make sure that there's no filament blocking these holes. Everything okay? Okay, sweet. I appreciate the reassurance. Just making sure these are blocked. I need a smaller tool. So just making sure these are completely open. And now the more fun part is going to be this head tracker, because I need to peel off all of the backing as well as poke holes here and make sure that these sockets fit in right. And I've got to get my tool bag, because I went flying today and I brought that with, so it'll be just a second. Let's see, we're gonna need pliers. Oh, hi. Let's see. We're gonna need to pull out all of this kind of middle area. And see if I can get it with these, because they really just need to be pulled out, because they're just supports. Let's see what tool is gonna be best for this. Wait, that's not what I was trying to grab. This. So just need to see, all this is just support, so it's very thin and easy to pull out, but I have to print it with it in, because otherwise it would just be some big mess. Looking good so far. I can cut this off because that's just going to get in the way. does get a little pokey, but still just gotta pull it all out. As you can see, it rips out really nicely too, so it's not damaging any of the inner workings. Feel free to ask any sort of questions, or it doesn't have to be about this head tracker. If you want to ask RC plane stuff or whatever, feel free, because this is going to be a pretty straightforward process. I've done this a few times now, just building different, well, one for myself, but then a couple to other people. So hopefully it should all be pretty straightforward. Let's see, this part's being a little annoying. And that has to come out too, I believe. This is the complete behind the scenes. So I got to deal with a lot of this annoying 3D printer peeling out, or like taking out all the supports. That's from this part. So if I can cut away this. Hello to Saiviki. Probably really butchered that, but hello. Glad you could join us. I'm putting together a head tracker, and I'm working currently on peeling out all of the supports that get printed into it, because we have to take those out to fit all the parts in. I'll have to widen that out a bit anyways, but let's see if I can just poke some of this. Let's see. Tweezers. Did anyone get any RC things for Christmas? That's a great question. I got this fun, you can see it probably right here. Ooh, right there. It's a, or actually it's right here. It's a fume extractor for soldering, and it's really not that loud, so hopefully when we're soldering in a bit, I'll be using it, and then the whole goal is to have lungs when I'm older, and breathing in a whole lot of solder is not great, but it is pretty handy, and I like it. I've used it so far because I was setting up a ultrasonic sensor for the Corsair, and I got that. I flew today with it, and it worked pretty well. But I had to do a lot of soldering for that, and it was nice to not have to just sit there and breathe in all of the fumes the whole time. Let's see. I'm just seeing if there's any other blockages that I can see. Yes, there is. How is there? Okay, that one's open. This needs a little work. is this PPM case? I believe so. This is the same case that we've got a couple tutorials on, or a tutorial on, and we're selling on our shop. But yeah, it connects to a transmitter via a trainer port cable, which will eventually have this little port in it that you can connect to a trainer or trainer cable, and then you can use your transmitter to control the head tracker. I'm just making sure right now we can get started, or all this filament is gone. Yeah, so if you want to do this yourself, there are links to everything, or there's a link to the tutorial which has links to everything, hopefully in the description. But yeah, let's see if this slides on. Oh, it looks like I missed a little piece. That'll do it. And now this should slide on like this, and that a little bit of resistance is because I didn't take all of the 3D print out. And let's see if I can take this back off. There we go. So that also means I need to just kind of file this out a bit, or scrape it out. See, there's a bit of strings left. Sorry if that sounds horrible. Can you show me settings for PPM in the head tracker GUI? I might make a tutorial on it. I can't show it right now because I'm streaming on a Mac, and the head tracker GUI is only available in Windows, so I have to switch over, which would mean I have to stop streaming to do that. But I can, at least I think this is the PPM version, or like it uses those signals if I'm not mistaken. It just uses the standard servo channels, which I could be just misspeaking, but I think that's what I'm doing. Okay, let's see if this fits in, because what we really need is this to fit in with the back on it still. So that goes in there. Let's see, what is the issue? Oh, I see there's still a little bit there. See. Let's see, is that gonna fit? It's mighty close. I don't want to squeeze it in too much, but I might have to do a little bit of filing. Let's see, maybe I can do it on, oh yeah, there's a little tab here on the board itself. Make sure I keep doing it on screen. Making sure we're all down to the right. That's smooth. So they can fit into here. And it is almost there. might have to redesign this case to make it fit this board a little better. They should be the exact same size, but maybe just it's printing a little bit off. Because for my head tracker, it fits in there really well, and now I've got to kind of force it in a little bit. You see that stays, and then that. So that's what we're looking for, or at least now we know it all fits. There we go. Slides all the way in. Take it off, and then we got to get the head tracker itself out, which we need a cable. This. Pop it out. Alright, so we got the board all out, and we could probably start soldering, because these are the parts that we have. We can just pretty much wait on those. And yeah, what we're going to need, I can keep just looking at my own head tracker, and I also have the wiring diagram pulled up, because I have to, it's slightly different using this board compared to the board I used, just because the board I used is no longer being sold, or like it's a lot harder to find, so I got to use this board, which has it's still pretty much the same, but just a little different. Let's see, where is this? Okay, so I've got this. Let's see, full desk. I've got this device here, which is a fume extractor. It helps me not breathe in all the smoke. I can turn it on its lowest setting. It's very soft, but when I turn it on the first time, it gets loud. So when I do turn that on, just be wary that it'll be loud for a second, but then it'll go away. But just to get into it, I've got the wiring diagram next to me, and I really don't have to do a whole lot with it. But still, I can go through, and so it's going to be loud for a second, but then it's going to be back to bearable. Hopefully that didn't hurt your ears too much. But I've got that. I've got not this bent tweezers. But I've got my power supply here too. And then I am going to start soldering up this board. Let's see. There we go. And there's not actually a whole lot of pads we need to solder, so this should be relatively quick. Let me just make sure I've got hands holding it down. Let me know if that fan is too loud or annoying. Oh, barely hit. Perfect. But yeah, it's just, it might be a little annoying, but if it means I can breathe longer, I'd very much so like to use it. So it will barely even be on screen too. So it's right up above. I'll show it working, hopefully. But soldering iron is now warmed up. And if I take some solder, I won't take my really good solder, but just to show example, smoke goes straight up, and it gets filtered out through a HEPA filter, or the filter in that box, and it makes it so I don't have to breathe it in, and it gets filtered out, all the little particles, which is super nice. And when I'm working like by myself without watching, I have it cranked all the way up, and it works really, really well. But without any further ado, let's do some soldering. So I've got, of course, some flux here, and I've got to go after, let's see, those bottom two. Closer, just so I don't have to breathe it. Let's see, then D10, which is, let's see, 1, 2, third from the top, third from the top. And then, oh, this is the Oh, we're almost there. The transmitter pin, the TX. Do I have one of those? No, I didn't think so. The only difference is instead of D2, it's D3. Okay. D10 already tinned, and then it's ground and the one above the ground. So, ground. And then normally on the board I used, you use the pin right above the ground pin, but for these Rev 2 boards, you just use the pin that is 2 above. Okay, got all those soldered up, or I guess tinned up. Let's see if I remember the right procedure. I think we start with one of these and make sure that it connects in. So grab our board, and this is where I might have to do a little bit of filing because I want to make this fit without it cracking the plastic, because the plastic is obviously what we want to stay nice. So I'm going to turn this fan off for now, shut the soldering iron off, and I'm going to pull something up here. Let's see. Tell me about your radio. I assume I use a Radio Master Zorro for all this head tracking stuff because I really like how big it is. It's like a game controller style transmitter, and then it's got a trainer port at the back, and it also supports Edge TX, which is how you can write your own code and add Lua scripts, and it's really cool. So I use a Radio Master Zorro. Let's see, wiring map. I am pulling up my own video just to make sure. These. Just because we don't need this super thick long wire, because that will be hard to make everything fit. Rather, we need this 22 gauge wire, which will work a lot better, and it'll handle this, or the power, just fine. So off goes that. Turn the soldering iron back on. I could probably do this from memory. It's just I'd rather them all be made in the exact same way, because that's what I'm selling, obviously. So that's why I just pulled up the video. Let's see, am I even on screen right now? I want to make sure everything can be seen. A little off center. There we go. Sorry if that was super jerky. Message redacted. All right, well, I won't tell you about my radio then. See, pull. All right, the black wire is the longer pin. And you got spare wires, always nice. Let's see. Tastes bad. I turned off that little fan thing just because I was using it. Man, it's not taste good. Oh yeah, I also have to trim this longer side. Just a hair. That is still hot. Alright, just launch that somewhere. But for the head tracker side, it's got to kind of weave up, around, and in. But first I want to make sure that this still fits without cracking anything. So I'm going to take this and just hopefully file it a little bit bigger. I don't need a whole lot bigger, but so that I can screw it in comfortably without cracking anything. Alright, I think this is going to be the right size. So I'm going to unscrew it and solder on wires. Because according to my head tracker, I need not a whole lot of wire here. I'm just looking at this power wire coming off. So I'm just going to grab a little bit from this. This is also something I got for Christmas. So I don't need a whole lot of wire, but probably... Oh, I totally measured and cut the right lengths. Maybe. Soldering on the power wires, so I'll need just black and red. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Okay, well, we'll just eyeball it then. Probably about this much. And then I've also got the strippers, which we won in a raffle type of thing. So good luck to inverted aviators right now in the new year. So strip off a little. Strip off a little. There we go. And we're going to turn this fan back on so it's going to be loud for a second. And okay, now that it's done kind of squealing like that, we can put this aside for now. Actually, let's see. Well, like all that soldering just bubbled through the back, so I'll have to cut that off to smooth it down, but no problem. I'm going to hold on to this middle part, or actually no, the outside is ground, middle is red. So I'm going to solder up this stuff. You can't see it, I'm just tinning it, but I'm doing it off screen because that's where the little fan thing is. Okay, then to solder this on. Let's see here. Looks good. And I'm just going to repeat the same process for the black side. So let's see, how much wire did I cut? That much. That much. About the same. Welcome, Smoky Mountain FPV. Or no, Smoky Mountain RC, excuse me. Okay. Same process as the red wire. Okay, and then that's already up, good. All right, easy. Another message redacted. Let me know if you have a question or something. I'm happy to answer. But let's see. Next step is adding a little bit of heat shrink, I believe. Did I? Yeah, I totally did. Why wouldn't I? Let's see. A little bit of heat shrink. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, but me being a professional, I already have the heat shrink gun all plugged in, so that should be a pretty easy process. I'm going to slip these all the way down. Actually, let's see how much do I really need. Okay, I need all of that on there and on here. All right, I'm going to heat shrink off the camera. What are you making? Good question. I'm making a head tracker. Somebody ordered one, and so I said I'm going to make them all on camera. So that's what I'm doing. And it will also be, it'll sound like a hair dryer for a minute or less than that as I heat shrink this. So I'm going to mute myself briefly so that you don't have to hear me heat shrink, but I'll be back in a second. Alright, I'm back. That's what we got. Just adding a little bit of heat shrink. It makes the metal really hot. So I'm going to wait a second, address some questions. What am I making? A head tracker to look just like this, which is mine, the one I use, except it'll be black, which I actually think looks really cool. I just made the original one in gray because that's the only one I had at the time, but black matches the DJI goggles that this fits in really well with. So I'm making a head tracker and also a little head tracker, like gimbal unit. And do you sell FPV setups? Yeah, we sell a little gimbal. It's on a shop. It's on our, you can find it on our YouTube channel, like the homepage. You can find a link to the shop where we got some branded merch, which looks really cool, as well as a head tracker and a camera gimbal, and there's gonna be more stuff as we make more projects. So stay tuned for all that. But yeah, anytime you see any 3D printed stuff, we're in the works of putting it all up on the shop. So if you don't have a 3D printer but still want to join in all the fun mods, you totally can. But yeah, that's what we're working on. I have a flight controller and a Caddx GM3 gimbal. Can I get the head tracker's position data from the flight controller? Can I get the head tracker's position data from the flight controller? I don't know if I understand your question correctly, because you want to get the head tracker's position data from this unit that we're making, and then we send it to your transmitter, which sends it to your receiver, which can then send it to your flight controller. But I don't think we want to get the head tracker's data from the flight controller, rather we're sending it to the flight controller. Let me know if that made zero sense, but I don't know if I understand your question 100% in order to answer as best I can. But if you're wondering, can you use this with a flight controller? Absolutely, as long as you have a receiver that has enough channels for it, because it works just like any normal servo channel. You just have to send it to the receiver as a channel, and then you can have the flight controller do whatever you want with it. Yeah, I guess I'll keep powering through here. I've got that, and I think I gotta fold this in just a hair to make sure it's out of the way. There we go. And then after that, okay, now I'm going to try to screw this into the port here, which we're going to pray that we don't have any cracking or anything that we hear. And if we do, that just means we got to file it a little bit more, which is no big deal. Man, get that all nice and flush. Another thing with the design is everything is super flush and looks nice when it's all screwed in. So that's a positive. We got all this wire. We might cut it shorter, just depending on how, or what I did here. Maybe it's just the right length. But let's see. There is. Just make sure everything looks good before we charge on. Speaking of looking good, I'm going to make sure that we have this signal jack, which is how we're going to give the trainer data from the head tracker to the transmitter. I'm just making sure I cut the right pin here, because it looks like there are 3. We're going to use the left one and the bottom one. Perfect. Make it easy. So I'm going to just cut more wire. Cut more wire. Same with the black wire. strip these again. You're a beginner? So am I. Or at least, always new stuff to learn. But yeah, you totally can use this head tracker on a quadcopter if you want to, or any flight controller based machine. Strip in. Okay, that's that. Then we just need to tin and prep again. So these go in here. We go in here. Solder. That's one thing. All right, and then let's get the handy dandy hands again. This time I have to add a little bit of flux to the piece itself so that I can actually attach to it. It's not in the way too much. And again, that's just so I can breathe in my old age. But you can grab some of this, and on this side too. Okay, and then we're going to put black on the bottom and red on the sides where the tweezers. Black on the bottom. Red on the side. Oh, it was stuck, but then I moved it. There. All right, do a little inspection to make sure it is looking good. But yeah, it looks solid. And then just confirming a little bit of heat shrink just to make sure everything is protected. Okay, we really don't need all that much. All right, I'm gonna heat shrink these again. Sound like mid-20s? Yeah, pretty much. It's just more when I'm like 80 and I've been breathing in solder my whole life. But yeah, appreciate it. I'm gonna heat shrink again, so I'm gonna mute myself here for 20 seconds. Alright, super easy again, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the power adapter and just screw this in. What am I running into? I don't see anything that should be in the way. Alright. Try to get this one just with my hand. Alright, we're almost all the way down. Cool. So that looks like it's in place. And again, super flush, super flat, looks really nice. So that's exciting there. Get these wires out of the way. And I'll keep watching my own video just to make sure I got it all figured out. Alright, then adding the button is the next step, which is really not that hard. I mean, none of this is that hard, it's just kind of tedious because it's really small. So what I have to do is fold away 2 of these pins, which I'm going to use these ones, or I guess I'm not going to use these ones, and just kind of fold them out. And then we can also test with a multimeter to make sure we have the right pins, so that if I put it into continuity mode, which you can't see but I am, and I touch these 2 sides, the sides I didn't fold down, and I push the button, we should hear a beep. And that's only when I'm holding the button. So you can see that holding left side and right side to the pins, and pop the button, beeps. Which just means we can send a signal, or at least an electronic signal is sent when this button is pressed, as long as we solder those 2 sides. So, on my last one I did red on top, black on the bottom again. So I might as well just keep doing that. I'm just going to see how much wire do I need for this button. When it goes down, up, around. I feel like it's all about the same amount of wire for each one of these parts. If I make a part 2, or like a second how to make a head tracker, or actually I think I already did give exact measurements. I just didn't write it down, which means I lost it somewhere. But just so I can prep these wires and get the exact right amounts, just making this process all smoother. Okay, stripped again. And again, feel free to ask any questions you want, or fire away. I'm just making stuff. I don't mind answering questions or ideas or anything. Heck, if you got ideas, fire away. We're always looking for new fun stuff to do. But get this back in here. It's got a nice adjustable head. Okay, so the buttons, it's going to be like this in there, and I did red on top, black on the bottom, and it looks like it just kind of comes straight off of it. So this one might be fun because it's just so small, but no worries. Let's see if I go here. Okay. All right, that one's in, and the other side. I need a little bit more tin on this, just so solder can flow. should be good. So get this out of here, and we can, well, this button is going to go in here, but we don't really need to put it in there yet because our next step is going to be soldering everything together, and it might be easier to just not have this in place, but I want to make sure that it fits still. What are we missing? Oh, just me being better with positioning it. Did I grab one that's too big? No. Why? What's the hold up then? Just wanted to see if this fits. I didn't know it was going to be a whole struggle. I guess it's good that I did it now. Oh, well, you know it does go in there. It's just being a nuisance right now for whatever reason. Is there anything I can do about that? If I push this red wire out of the way. Then there we go. Okay, that was just to prove it can fit in there because that's where it's going to go. So you see the board will hold it in place. You can click it. Easy. And just confirming, I'm pretty sure the next step is just getting everything in place, attaching all the wires, prepping the board. Yeah, okay. This again is the fun part. But that's why I've got the wiring diagram all up and going. So I'm going to take this button that we just struggled to get in, take it straight out. And then power wires, I guess. Because remember, this board has got to go in like this. But, I mean, we could solder it straight down, but that might be difficult. So what I've been doing is soldering it kind of like on the side and then folding it in. So all these wires are really like this, if that makes sense. So I've got these two wires going to power and ground, which are on this side, which come across. And I'm trying to think which are going to be the furthest wires. That's going to be power and ground coming all the way across. So I will do the signal wires, which should go to ground, and it looks like the button goes to D3, so that should go to D10, which is up here. And we also have to make sure all these wires are not going out like this. They've got to be going in or across the board so that it'll actually fit, which just adds another layer of craziness to this solder. So I'm going to go on this side. Let's see if I go like this. All right, just confused everything. D10 is this pin. That pin is now here. This red wire has to go there. Good thing I made that as clear as possible. Let's see, can I get this guy clicked in so it stops rolling? Red goes there. This goes here so I can breathe. And button gets off. Okay, so this should go right here. I'm going to solder or tin. Okay, it's red in, and then, oh, got a question. I meant, where should I connect to the flight controller or to the receiver, and if it's connected to the flight controller, are there any settings need to be configured? So the flight controller should be connected to your no, let me start over. The head tracker should be connected to your transmitter so that it can use 2 of the channels. Sorry. The gimbal has a wire that supports crossfire. That's fine. Well, supports. Maybe I don't understand how this gimbal works. Has a wire that supports crossfire, which I assume just means it receives crossfire channels. I guess I'm not sure. Use smaller wires next time. Yeah, probably. I am trying to like find the perfect way how to build this, because for this one I've got the similar like quantity of wires. They just fold it in. So I'm trying to do that because I would like to use tiny wires, but then it makes it hard to solder them all together. But yeah, you're probably right. I could just use smaller wires to begin with. But back to it. This wire goes to the ground. Oh, speak slowly. I apologize about that. So the head tracker connects to your transmitter, so you can send the receiver. I keep messing up my words. You connect the head tracker to your transmitter so that it can use 2 of the transmitter's channels, and then your transmitter sends the signal to the receiver, and you can use those head tracker channels on your receiver, and then your flight controller can use those channels however you want. But I'm not sure how your specific gimbal works because, well, it's not mine, so I don't know. I haven't looked into it either. But if it supports Crossfire, that would mean that it supports the Crossfire protocol, which might mean you can send the channels directly from your transmitter to the head tracker. Again, I don't know if that's exactly correct, but it sounds viable. But yeah, I apologize speaking too fast. Let's see what else we have. Okay, power and ground are there, which they go to these 2 at the bottom corner. And we've got the button wires too. And the button goes to this ground pad, which I might be able to just sneak on while it's here. Okay. Need the hands back to grab hold so this stops moving. So tight. I might have a different tweezers that would work better. Well, this one's got a little bent up tip. That doesn't help. I didn't think this was going to be the hardest part so far, just holding the wires in the right spot. right, that should be both of those wires stuck on. We'll just double check. I think that's good. And then the red goes to the D10, which is, oh no, red goes to the third up from this side, which is right next to it. That should be a little bit easier. I don't have to deal with 2 wires, just deal with 1. Okay, that kept moving. Add a little more. This is being difficult for no reason. Okay. Button wires should be in. And then last but not least, we need these power and ground on this side, which, how in the world is that going to happen? We need that to come around, red on the bottom, black on the top. Actually, that won't be too bad. Okay. Or no, wait, I should get the black one first because it's top. And again, I need to have these wires go up, not down. Or I guess inside the board's frame, not outside the board's frame. This end is going to be curled just a little bit so it can fit in the right side. Okay, I think that's all connected, which means I can turn this off. So we need to, I guess I should first just double check right now to make sure nothing is shorted. So I'm going to use my multimeter with continuity mode again. And I'm going to touch the positive and negative pads. Good. Not hearing anything. And then I'm going to go, and on the back of these, you can see that the see the solder kind of flowed through. Ooh. Make sure that still looks good. Yep. The solder kind of flowed through and bubbled out the back, and we need it to be pretty smooth so that this back plate can go on. So all I'm going to do is come up and clip these off. Jeez. Hit somewhere on the ceiling. I'm putting on my safety squints, but that looks flat other than that. So now I'm going to try to fold this in together. So I'm going to put the button in. Hopefully it's a little bit easier than last time. There we go. Buttons in, and then we can fold this all in and kind of on top of each other. and down and in place. Let's see here. Oh yeah, these might be in the way too. So if I fold these flat, yeah, maybe I might have to trim some of these wires down, like, let's see, like somebody suggested. Because yeah, they do look like, I can't tell if it's gonna be a little too tight or it'll be just fine. But I want to make sure nothing gets like squished or pinched too much. Oh, it might fit. Let's see. Oh, you can't. Let's see. I want to make sure this end is in the way, or not in the way. Let's see. Ooh, now I have to take it out. Yeah, it looks like these wires are just a little too much. So I'll try to shorten some of them. I'll start with just the power wires because they can be pretty darn short without being an issue. So if I shorten them, they have to really curl around. So I'm gonna go maybe it's still hot. Okay, I have to strip these again. I have to just do it with the end. Okay, just use the tool since we have it. Just stripped it, but it got less stripped. How does that work? Okay, back to tinning, prepping. You can use the other hand to just keep this out of the way. I'm going to turn this back on. It's going to be loud for a second. Alright, back to being not loud. Oh wow, you're seeing only watch. Sorry about that. Try to get this last part pulled over so it can fit better. Alright, shortened up 2 of the wires. Is that going to be enough? Hopefully. Oh, that could be it too. It's a little too wide because of the same reason they overflowed on the outside. Why are these wires all squishing around now? What did I do here that worked? I got skinnier wires, but it still should be fine. I'll try trimming down this wire too. Smoke. Forearm again. Is that going to be enough? Not quite, but why? What is in this corner? Button works. So almost there. Could just be that this, I didn't cut away enough when we started. Still a little bit of gunk in there from the 3D print that I missed. there's one corner is not wanting to go in. I think it's just because I didn't pull out enough of the starting like casing from the 3D print. Let's see if I get an X-Acto knife. Maybe that'll work. Got the piece I'm trying to get at. Just keep going higher and higher tools until I can get enough leverage to just pull this thing out. See if that did it. There we go. That should be in there, and then this should slide on, slide off. Yep. Came off with it. Let's double check all the wiring is still good. Looks good. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. What else do we need to do? Probably clean. Oh yeah, we need to make the adapter wires because this should be all good. See everything that's in there. Let's see that. Put that on here. There. Looking good. So. Last step here is making this adapter wire, which is really just putting these three wires together, which will power your goggles, your head tracker, your goggles, head tracker, and your what's it called? Your analog receiver, which is like what we use, and then this is what we get power from. So I'm gonna grab my goggles so we can get an exact measurement of what we need to cut. So the goggles are here, and so we've got one in for the analog receiver, one in for the goggle power, and then if we put the head tracker itself on here, that we can get a third in like this. And what we need to do is have, oh, I can't really see that, huh? Something like this, so we get the actual like correct distance, and then if we cut it around, I'll say maybe here, and if I get a nice big cutter, perfect, spare wire, and then so these pieces we know all they have to do is come together at this joint, and our adapter will be correctly made, and then we just attach this on the other side. We're good to go. So Oh, we got a new subscriber. Thanks. Almost 1,200. Oop, hit the camera. Perfect. Almost at 1,200. Awesome. All right, let's keep charging through. Also, thanks to these wire strippers, hopefully this process will be easier too. I don't know what gauge this is. The bag still, it says. Nope. All right, we'll just eyeball it. Is it this one? No. Is it this one? No. Is it this one? Maybe. Perfect. That is really easy. Nice. Okay. Wires are stripped. We have to just solder them together, and then of course attach this to the other side. I might as well prep this while we're here. Always eyeball wire stripping on the larger size and work with the thinner. That makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, that's kind of what I did too. I started with the 8 gauge and it was nowhere near. But yeah, smart. Good call out. With you. Okay, here we go. 8 gauge is kind of huge. Yeah. In the end, it was 14 gauge. Either 14 or 16, but these are kind of thick wires, so maybe. Yeah, 8 gauge is huge. Okay, I can desolder this. Good. Sorry if I just hit the mic. Okay, spare wires again. Great. And then I should just prep all of these wires. I'll use this solder. And this is for sure where I'm going to use this vent because there's going to be a lot of fumes here because these are bigger wires and I've got to solder 3 of them together and that's never easy. So make sure that's on camera. Oh, I said that I'm just soldering not underneath this little thing. Okay. All right, those are those all prepped, and then we just remember how we're actually going to accomplish this. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 all together, and then those are going to attach onto here. So we got a little chaining to do. So I think best plan of action or best plan of attack would be to solder them all together and then pop them on here all as one chunk. At least that's what I'm going to do. Whether or not it's the best call, I don't know. So I'm going to grab 2 of these wires. I'll start with the red ones. So we got red and red. And what we want is them to be right on top of each other. Actually, I can just hold one of the red ones. Let's see, that's there, solder's here. Okay. Then get the fan down. Okay. Tweezers. Let's also get some more tin in there. Okay, good. Get this a little closer so it keeps getting all the fumes. And now I just gotta hold the last one, or the last red one, that is. Just applying heat and letting it sink in itself. That's, oh, it melted the table. That smells really bad. But those should be all connected. Yep, that should be fine. And I gotta put heat shrink on there before I solder it to this part, but we're not at that stage yet. Okay, so I'm gonna grab one of the wires, probably the shortest one. And then, so from what I've learned, I need a whole lot of tin and flux. Visual inspection here. be just fine. And then I'm gonna add some heat shrink onto each one of these ends, but I gotta push it kind of far away so it doesn't accidentally heat shrink itself before it gets to the connection point. So it should be just a little bit. So I'm gonna put this on. Ooh, that's not gonna be big enough. Bigger. So let's see, I can probably peel these up a little bit just to get the heat shrink far away, because I'm going to put it onto here, and then after that I'm going to shrink it down. So I don't want it to prematurely shrink, which it might. I also want to cut this little tab. So that they can fit, but then all we need to do is put this over here. More of this. Good, good. I get heat all the way through so it can melt and join in with the bottom side. That being said, I might need to just add more to this whole glob. Yeah, that heat shrink is completely shrunk, so I'm going to cut a new piece. It's a little bit bigger. Okay. Keep kicking the camera. And not too bad, Happy Corgi. We are on the last step of just putting this adapter or this power wire together, and it's being a little annoying, but other than that, it's been just fine. How are you doing this fine evening? So that's been super annoying. Yep, this is the head tracker. Well, I guess this is the wire for the head tracker, that is. But that's finally on there. I had to use my other solder, but whatever. Now, same process for this red wire, and then you just need some heat shrink, and we'll be pretty much all wrapped up. So I'll add more of this. How is that? Cool. Let's see. Get the largest heat shrink I have. And God, forget that it's very hot. Something I need to do still is heat shrink. Where's the tool for that? I gotta go. Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by. Where did I put that tool that I need to use? The one tool. I can make do. Okay, and that was just so we can put this over the end. And pull it down. Big enough, so I just put the needle nose in and make it wider. There we go. And I'm going to heat shrink this down, and then that adapter should be good to go. There's the adapter. We could test it again to see what it looks like, but let's see, one in there, one in the goggles. Is that the right way? I did it backwards. Yeah, there. Now it hangs down. Is that backwards still? Well, one of the ways, the correct way. But either way. Go. Oh, that's got to be the right way. There. Now you got the head tracker in, and you can get your same power wire for your goggles just straight out of here, and that's pretty much it. I guess I could see if it actually still works. Let's see if I've got my power wire. First, just make sure that it powers on like it should. get a green and an orange light, which means powering on, which is really good. Yeah, that's that part working. And then if I were to turn this off and put on this adapter wire into my goggles, power and power and power, and plug it in here, we should see everything light up. So you can hear the goggles turn on, you can see the head tracker turn on, and you can also see that if I wanted to power the analog adapter on. So that means the adapter is also working, which is really good. And I think that pretty much brings us to a conclusion, because that's all part of the order. I guess there's one other part, but that just needs 3D printing, and I've got to wait for some other parts to arrive. Oh, we're also almost at 1200. So if any of you are watching and you're not subscribed, any of the 7-ish, feel free to subscribe, because that would put us at 1200. You'd be the 1200th subscriber. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to end the building portion, because we have adapter and the head tracker that all you need to do to install it is screw in these 2 screw holes into the side of your goggles. Super easy. And then I need to print some other stuff for this order, but other than that, we're good to go. So I'm going to clean up my desk, and after that, I'm going to... Oh, good, still on. After I clean up my desk, I'm going to conclude the stream. So if you have any last final questions, feel free to let me know. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking around, those of you who have, and stick around for more videos using the head tracker and other projects like that. But yeah, thank you for watching. What 3D printer do I have? I've got the Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro, which really, really well. Yeah, so close to 1200. We're almost there. It works super well, and it's really cool. And yeah, Elegoo, if you want to sponsor, that'd be really cool. Let's see, what else do we got here? Thanks for the video. Yeah, have a great night, James Turncliffe. Thank you for watching the whole time. I really appreciate that. That's really, really nice. Plus, you've been one of our longest time subscribers. So really kind of you to stick around. I think I've learned that I need smaller gauge wire for these head trackers. This did work. I had to go back and like redo some parts, which I'd rather not do, just in terms of keeping things speedy and still moving. But I might have to invest in some, like, I use 22 gauge wire normally, because that seems strong enough yet flimsy enough. So I might have to get, what, 25 gauge wire or something tiny, because they shouldn't have to deal with too much like movement or abrasions or anything, because it's inside a head tracker. But I would like to have really tiny wire for that reason. That's that. That's this. I also need more solder, because I bought solder to replace the solder I'm running out of, but it doesn't work as well, or like the rosin core to flux whatever is off, which just makes it a little more annoying. Let's see. But yeah, I should just clean up the other stuff. So I always end these streams, then they just like leave my office. Let's see. I'm thinking about getting a Bamboo Lab A1. It's smaller than Neptune 4 Pro, but has the capability of having 4. Whoa. 4. Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of great things about Bamboo Labs. Like, they look really cool. So yeah, that'd be really cool just to see how that works. But like, Bamboo Labs are like the hot thing right now. Like, I've seen a lot of really cool people talk about them. Let's see, just wrapping up this heat shrink gun. Yeah, I actually went to Micro Center today to get parts for the ultrasonic sensor, and they had a Bamboo Lab one. Maybe it's the one you're talking about. But yeah, it was printing, and it had 4 different like spools that like all went into the main area, and then it had a little like filament ejection area for when it switched filament. It had to, of course, stop extruding, then extrude a little bit more so we could like cut it and then switch. But yeah, it was pretty cool. But that'd be wild. See, Trav, what's up? Well, howdy. If you're just joining now, Crazy Quad Brother P3, we're just wrapping up things. I went through and built an adapter wire and a head tracker for an order. As you can see, that looks pretty similar to my adapter wire, which is always good. I want them to look as close to my things as possible because that's what they're buying. But yeah, we're just wrapping up here, just clean things up. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I saw. To those of you who know what I'm talking about, you'll know. But yeah, that was the Bamboo Labs printer that I saw, except it either had 4 or it had for sure 4 things, so maybe it was a bigger printer. But it just looks so cool that you can switch that easily between, or just like program it in. Let's see, I got a few other things that I was using. Well, thank you. It's anytime you order anything that is 3D printed or built by us or built or designed, my goal is to make it on stream, because then you can actually see it being built. Or like for a lot of bigger companies or bigger products, somebody buys it, or you buy something and you don't see it in progress, and then if it shows up defected, you're like, well, that kind of sucks. But if I do it all on stream, then there's like, hopefully I will catch it if something's wrong, or somebody else will, or it's also just cool to see your product go from just a pile of parts to the actual thing that you're going to receive. So that's why I want to do it on stream. Plus, it's kind of fun to field questions and do other stuff too, because otherwise I'd just be sitting here with like the football game on or something just by myself. And so if I can spend the time with other people, makes it a little more enjoyable. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're at the part of the stream where I'm cleaning up the huge mess I made, because it always happens when I stream. It's like I get everything super clean, and by the time it's over, it's like, oh my, look, a tornado ran through here. But yeah, we are just about done. I'm trying to think, is there any other big things that are needing to be cleaned up? I don't think so. So, one last call. If you are not subscribed, we are 1 subscriber away from 1,200. So if you want to be the 1,200 subscriber, go for it. I'll also plug the memberships. We do have a YouTube membership. If you want to join it, I think the only one's $1 a month, and we can only offer early access to videos, but it would really support the channel. It helps us, and you can, whenever we're done editing the videos for the week, you can take a peek at it. But yeah, it just helps and supports the channels and allows us to buy more of this fun stuff to build and sell to you guys. Our new projects, because we got an ultrasonic sensor coming. I added to the Corsair. That one's should be pretty much good to go. Or other things like I'll sneak peek something. If you know what it is, I guess for those of you who already know, don't say. But if you can figure out what this is going to be for, it's something. It's going to be really cool. But yeah, that's at least a sneak peek at something I'm working on in the works. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. Really appreciate everyone for sticking around through the cleaning process. Oh, this focus is there. Sorry about that if that was kind of freaking out, but I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for those of you who stuck around through the whole cleaning the desk part, because just kind of nice to get everything back to square one. I'm gonna have to get a new soldering mat or a cutting board, because I am soldering square through it. But thank you so much for watching. That looks like a warbird. It could be. That itself didn't look like a warbird, but yeah, it's a fun product that's in the works. I've been meaning to work more on it because it should be really, really cool, and it'll probably make another plane that flies pretty well already fly a whole lot worse, similar to everything else. And if you think that's funny, we got a whole sweatshirt that says that on the back, so feel free to check that out too. We do have a shop up if you want to get merch. This is the part of the stream where I'm now just plugging everything and just alluding to things that we're going to do. But we've got a shop up that's got merch and fun stuff. So if you want to buy a head tracker of your own, you can buy it there. Warbird canopy. You're getting hotter. Well, actually, that's what it was. But anyways, if you want to buy any of this fun stuff, we got a shop. If you want to buy fun merch that helps support the channel and gives us the opportunity to make and design and build more things, we'd love it. We'd be very happy if you did. But with that, I'm going to wrap up the stream. So thank you so much for watching, and stick around for more stuff like this.